It's Friday, September 8th. In the headlines in local news, JPEX Expo starts on September 11. In business news, 138 Student Living launches APO. Regionally, flag-raising ceremony held in Barbados to mark Africa-CARICOM Day. Internationally, workers in film and TV continue strike over wages. In sports, a new home for national netball player. And in entertainment news, details from the Caribbean Music Awards. This is the Weekend News on PBC Jamaica. I'm Brittany Clark. The tourism industry is set to benefit from this year's highly anticipated renewal of the Jamaica Product Exchange JPEX Exposition, slated for September 11 to 13 at the Montego Bay Convention Center. In 3 days of pre-scheduled appointments, wholesalers, tour operators, and travel agents will meet with Jamaica's leading tourism suppliers to conduct business negotiations. Speaking during Thursday's press launch at the Courtly Hotel and Suites in Kingston, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett said JPEX is a platform for collaboration and innovation where partners are formed and dreams realized. Applications for Chevening scholarships to study in the UK are open between September 12 and November 7, 2023. Applications are to be submitted via the online application platform at chevening.org/apply. Chevening scholarships are awarded to individuals from all backgrounds who can demonstrate that they have the commitment and skills required to become future leaders and can show how a UK master's degree will help them to create positive change in their country. The scholarship offers full financial support for scholars to study for any eligible master's degree at over 150 UK universities, while also gaining access to a wide range of exclusive academic, professional, and cultural experiences. Our news team attended a reception for the latest scholars recently. Here's a look at what was captured.
14 Jamaicans have been awarded the 2023 Chevening scholarships to pursue master's degrees in the United Kingdom. Speaking at a reception at the British High Commission last evening, British High Commissioner to Jamaica, Judith Slater, explained the significance of the scholarship, which is in its 40th year.
Well, this one allows us to build up a network, and as I mentioned, we've got more than 300 Jamaicans now who've been Chevening scholars. A network of people who understand the UK, who are, we hope, have a love, an affection, an affinity, who have lots of contacts in the UK, and who are actively looking to promote UK-Jamaica cooperation.
This year's scholars were chosen from a wider candidate pool of more than 300. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, in her remarks, encouraged the Jamaicans to make use of the opportunity.
The truth is that it's this amazing opportunity once you're there to build friendships, and they're not just friendships, they're networks that can last a lifetime and that can have real professional value. And I really do want to just add my voice to High Commissioners to say, make use of the time, use it well.
Volunteers are being advised that coastal cleanup activities will begin promptly at 7 a.m. on Saturday, September 16. The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, says the International Coastal Cleanup ICC Day activities will begin earlier due to the increasing temperatures. NEPA's Beaches Coordinator, Jodili Banks, says volunteers are to wear light-colored clothing and to bring sunscreen. Persons are also being encouraged to stay hydrated and drink plenty of water before, during, and after the activities to prevent dehydration. Additionally, persons should opt to wear light-colored, loose-fitting clothing, shoes that are not easily penetrated by the heat, and hats to help protect their bodies from the sun. To help alleviate the heat, NEPA will ensure that there is a rest tent available for persons to take frequent breaks throughout the day. They will also provide refreshments. While the agency will be providing refreshments, volunteers are being encouraged to walk with their reusable water bottles so as to not add to the garbage being removed from the beach. Further information on how to participate in these activities can be requested via email at avatomlinson@nepa.gov.jm or by calling 876-754-7540. Now for the weather report. This afternoon, we can expect scattered showers and thunderstorms across sections of most parishes. Tonight will be partly cloudy. In the 3-day forecast, starting tomorrow, expect isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms, mainly across central and western parishes. Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Welcome to the extended business report. I'm Danita Rodney. The 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited on Thursday launched an additional public offering APO with the aim of raising a minimum of $2.15 billion in a second round capital raise. The APO, which is being brokered and arranged by GK Capital Management Limited, will open on Friday, September 8th and is scheduled to be closed on October 8th. Speaking at the launch, 138's chairman Ian Prasad said that a factor of consideration for the APO is that there are opportunities for growth.
In terms of growth, we're looking at in our core business, student housing. There are some opportunities that are in front of us, some that are immediate and some that are going to evolve over the next 5 years or so. As far as immediate, we have an opportunity, I would say, over the next 12 to 18 months to bring online another 144 rooms at the UA campus.
Mr. Prasad continued by saying that the company is not only focused on growth for student living.
The point I'm making is that, we're looking at growth opportunities organically in terms of student housing, but strategically as well. We have our eyes open in areas that we understand PPP type arrangements that could be significant for 138, we are looking at those opportunities as well.
The chairman also said that efficiency leading to consistent dividend is 138's goal.
The play for 138 is to be efficient and to be able to pay good dividends to our shareholders. We have to be efficient. The operations have to be efficient, and there is a focus with the management that we have to be very efficient. That efficiency will drop to the bottom line. Dropping to the bottom line will allow us to pay more and consistent dividends.
During his presentation, Douglas Robinson, VP of Investment Management at GK Capital Management, sought to explain why the company chose to launch an APO and not a rights issue.
With an APO, we are able to offer not just to existing shareholders, but to everyone, to the general public, an opportunity to invest in this business. But what we've also done is we've carved out a reserved pool, and you can see it even has a special price of $4.05 for people like existing shareholders.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, September 7, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.33. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.13. The pound sterling traded for $194, and the euro sold for $167.89. In JSE trading, the JSE index declined by over 707 points. The junior market index advanced by over 16 points. The combined market index declined by over 507 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by over 1,632 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 99 stocks, of which 37 advanced, 49 declined, and 13 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, Caribbean Producers Jamaica Limited, and Derrimon Trading Company Limited. Stocks declined for AMG Packaging and the Paper Company Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and the Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. The overall volume leaders were JMMB Group Limited 7.50% with over 4 million units, Usinco Group Limited ordinary shares, and Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund posted a volume of 206 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, First Caribbean International Bank was the volume leader with 70 shares. They were followed by Banks Holdings Limited and K. Shepherd and Company Limited, which traded 26 and 23 shares respectively. In regional business in Trinidad and Tobago, only local crypto investor appeals for regulations as means to end the freeze-out of investors by local banks.
There must be some form of regulation of cryptocurrencies in Trinidad and Tobago so that local crypto investors can once again conduct transactions in local banks. This was the view of Mark Pereira, Chief Executive Officer of Z Labs. He explains that the absence of regulation coupled with foreign exchange strains led to local banks opting not to do business with local cryptocurrency investors.
People were using the US limits on their credit cards to purchase crypto, and they were taking that money, making a profit off of it, bringing it into their banks, and then profiting off of the spread. So it's less about a cryptocurrency conversation, it's more about a Forex conversation.
In international business, US stocks ended mixed, with the biggest drag from Apple and a sell-off in chip stocks over concerns about China's iPhone curbs, while a fall in weekly US jobless claims fed worries about interest rates and sticky inflation.
The Dow gained nearly 0.2%, the S&P 500 fell 0.3%, and the Nasdaq shed 0.9%. Shares of Apple lost nearly 3%, falling for a second straight day on the news that China had widened curbs on iPhone use by Chinese government officials. While Will Rind, CEO of Granite Shares ETFs, calls the move concerning, he also sees it as a potential buying opportunity for investors.
Apple is such a dominant company, has such a fantastic product and an ecosystem that supports that potentially it's an opportunity for investors to look at something like Apple, where shares are down and potentially buy the dip or get into Apple at a lower price.
Apple suppliers Qualcomm and Skyworks Solutions both tumbled more than 7%. Data showing China's imports and exports fell in August also dented sentiment, with shares of U.S.-listed Chinese firms JD.com, Alibaba, and Baidu all dropping. And further pressuring stocks, unemployment claims last week hit their lowest level since February, according to the U.S. Labor Department, another sign of a still tight labor market. That worried some investors that the Federal Reserve could continue its rate hikes. In other company news, McDonald's shares rose 1% after Wells Fargo upgraded the stock to overweight. And automation software firm UiPath rallied 11.5% on an upbeat annual revenue forecast.
In market data for oil prices hovered above $90 a barrel, on track to end the week higher as investors chose to focus on tighter supply despite broader macroeconomic uncertainty. Brent crude futures were up 57 cents to $90.49, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 47 cents to $87.34 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, Barbados, its CARICOM counterparts, and the African Union have been celebrating their growing relationship at the second annual Africa-CARICOM Day. Barbados held a flag-raising ceremony to mark the occasion on Thursday morning at the government headquarters. Sean Farrell has more.
The day has been observed in keeping with a decision taken at the inaugural Africa-CARICOM Summit on September the 7th, 2021. In his address, acting Prime Minister Dr. William Duguid noted the African Union and CARICOM continue to work together.
Not only have we come together to coordinate our efforts to repair the currently existing international economic and political order and gain for ourselves our rightful place in world affairs, but we've also come together to repair and restructure our own Africa-Caribbean relationship.
Mr. Duguid adds events over the last 2 years have cemented the need for collaboration between the two regions.
I refer to such events as the constantly deepening security, governance, and humanitarian crisis in our Caribbean nation, Haiti, as well as the military coup in the West African nation of Niger, and the deadly and tragic civil wars that have so scarred the nations of Ethiopia and Sudan.
Director of the CSME, Leo Titus Pavil, says the relationship between Africa and the Caribbean is already proven fruitful.
As CARICOM celebrates its 50th anniversary this year, it is perhaps fitting that the promising seeds planted over the last 2 years, aimed at deepening economic, social, and cultural ties with Africa, be nurtured with deliberate purpose. Already, the foundation is being laid for access to capital by the private sector through the Afri-Exim Bank. 9 member states have signed partnership agreements with Afri-Exim Bank, which has committed to extending $1.5 billion US dollars, a line of credit of that magnitude, to CARICOM member states.
Meanwhile, founding dean of the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts at the University of the West Indies, KPhil, Professor David Akambo, wants countries of Africa and the Caribbean to make deliberate efforts to boost cultural ties, among other areas.
I propose the idea of the AU CARICOM Age of Enlightenment, in which a targeted aim should be built a socio-economic, socio-cultural, and a scientific revolution that goes in tandem with the goals already identified or defined by the United Nations. The AU CARICOM Age of Enlightenment should be a period of scientific awakening centered on the interrogation of the drawbacks that impede the quick realization of socio-economic development between Africa and the CARICOM nations. Second, I propose the idea of return to culture.
Professor Akambo says cultural cooperation can have a positive impact on knowledge sharing and the technological and economic development of African and CARICOM countries. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
While air travel between countries of the Caribbean community and the OECS has improved since the COVID-19 pandemic, the level of interconnectivity is still not near pre-pandemic levels. SKN's Glenn Bart has the details.
Liat Airlines, owned by Liat 1974 Limited, is still deep in its hopeful recovery, given its high debt and commitments still to be honored to its pilots, cabin crew, and other staff. Its current limited operations now fall way short of the tagline of being the Caribbean airline. In spite of its many shortcomings, Liat provided the safe interconnectivity that enabled us to see ourselves as real Caribbean people. Today, it is still easier to fly to Miami, a 3-hour flight, and could reach sooner than traveling between St. Kitts and St. Lucia, a 1-hour flight. At a recent roundtable with the media of St. Kitts and Nevis, Prime Minister Dr. Terence True spoke of the current situation of intra-regional travel that has become a problematic assignment for CARICOM and OECS ministers, indicating that there will be another meeting in a short while.
The position of St. Kitts and Nevis is that we want to find a solution right now for intra-regional travel. So at the last CDB meeting, we decided that we wanted this situation to be studied. Recently, I traveled to have a discussion where the discussion reached as far as getting a new airline to be totally open and transparent. A new airline. We about four of us as prime ministers met. And we put together a technical team and we're talking about what can we do this very November. The question of Liat has arisen and we should address the question of Liat. So we are meeting again to discuss it. I'm the chair for the OECS Authority. As you know, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves is the one who had been speaking with intra-regional travel, but as the chair, I am pushing that issue very vigorously and seriously. And so we have another meeting coming up. I think we might meet virtually, because we just recently met in person, so that we can say to the people of the region that we have solved the issue, or we are going to solve the issue of intra-regional travel, even if it means to get a new airline, which is not off the table at all. It is very much on the table. So we are open to all the discussion, but I will say that the old arguments of Liat, I am not entertaining that. When somebody from St. Kitts wants to go down to Barbados and they can't get there, they're not thinking about the old arguments of Liat. They're thinking about what is the solution. And so we have to deliver a solution to the people of the region. And so we have made certain determinations. We will have that discussion as well. But I will also add, we want to thank Liat because as much as we used to say, leave island anytime and all these things, When Liat disappeared, all of us felt it. Liat served us well. It did well. But we have to now look for the best solution at this particular time.
So far, intra-regional travel remains costly and excessively time-consuming. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
In international news, tens of thousands of film and television writers and actors in the U.S. have been on strike for months, shutting down all union productions. Analysts estimate the strikes have cost the economy at least $3 billion so far. Al Jazeera's Rob Reynolds reports.
Kiki Stash has a clothing warehouse full of vintage items, a little known but vital part of the entertainment industry.
How much stuff have you got in here?
I've got about 25,000 pieces of clothing, and then plus all the shoes, belts. I have everything, jewelry, underwear. So I am a vintage vendor to costumers for TV and film.
She's not in a union, but the strikes have hit her hard.
If there's no writers and no actors and no new shows, there's just no business. I moved in here in February, and so most of my savings kind of went with the move, and I had to refurbish the place and do all that. So I'm pretty much, for the business part, I'm living on fumes right now.
Roman Molino Dunn has composed scores for many TV and film productions.
I write music for films and television. So I get a movie and they ask me to write a certain type of music, and that's what I do.
His work has dried up.
There's no writers and there's no actors. So the only projects that are coming in are documentaries. I guess some animation, reality television, there's a lot of that, but reality television has already moved away from composers. For the most part, they're using stock music.
Like many other non-union entertainment artists, he's been forced to dip into his savings.
If there's no jobs coming in, you're relying on the money from the previous job, and the further that goes into the future, the more dismal that seems.
The longer it goes on, the closer artists like Stash and Dunn get to leaving their field altogether.
Luckily, it hasn't gotten to that yet, but it's very worrisome to see that this has been going on for so long. If it continues, everybody in the industry will probably have to do as you suggest and find a job completely outside of the industry.
Sleepless nights?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Skills and talents going to waste as the biggest entertainment strike in decades drags on. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Los Angeles.
In sports, national netball player Latanya Wilson has received the documents to a new home from the government of Jamaica. The Sunshine Girl, along with her family, lost their dwelling in a fire which occurred at the premises on Rum Lane in downtown Kingston on August 24. Several other families were left homeless by the blaze. Miss Wilson was a key member of the national team, which placed third at the Netball World Cup from July 28 to August 6 in South Africa. Construction of the new home is being facilitated through the National Housing Trust, NHT. Speaking at the handover ceremony on Wednesday, September 6, at the New Kingston offices of the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Portfolio Minister Honorable Olivia Grange said that all the affected families will be assisted. Time now for entertainment news with Alicia Steele.
Welcome to PBCJ's E-News, your source for the most up-to-date and thrilling entertainment news. I'm Alicia, your host, and I'm here to spice up your day with the latest. Today, we'll dive into the ongoing saga between dancehall queen Spice and Erica Mena on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, as well as give you all the juicy details from the Caribbean Music Awards held in New York. Stay tuned for more updates that will surely keep you on the edge of your seat. Spice, the dancehall artist, is speaking out about her recent argument with reality TV star Erica Mena on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The dispute involved issues of parenting and racism. Spice defends herself, stating that while she mentioned Mena's son, it was unjustified for Mena to racially attack her based on her skin color. During the confrontation, Spice mentioned that Mena's eldest son didn't like her, to which Mena responded by calling Spice a blue monkey and making monkey sounds. The term has historically been linked to racial discrimination against people of African descent. As a consequence of her comment, Mena will not appear in future episodes of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Some people on social media have criticized Spice for mentioning Mena's son, believing that it provoked Mena's offensive response. However, Spice explained during an Instagram live session that others have previously mentioned Mena's son as well. Spice questioned whether it is acceptable to encounter racism if one is triggered or angry. She emphasizes that using racial slurs is never justified, regardless of the circumstances. Spice also reflects on her decision to paint her face white in the music video for her song Black Hypocrisy a few years back. This action was a response to colorism within the Black community, highlighting the preference of lighter skin tone. The first annual Caribbean Music Awards was held in Brooklyn, New York. The event was hosted by Wyclef Jean and celebrated the diversity and the richness of Caribbean music. The awards were chosen by fans and recognized artists from a variety of genres, including soca, dancehall, and compa. Kabaka Pyramid won the Impact Award, while Ding Dong was awarded Dance Song of the Year for his song Bonks. Wayne Wonder and Machel Montana received the Lifetime Achievement Award, and a younger generation of Jamaican artists performed a tribute to Beres Hammond, who was honored with the Elite Icon Award. The night concluded with high-energy performance by Wayne Wonder, Sham, and Dexter Daps, who won his first ever award in the Performer of the Year Dancehall category. Dancehall artist Massacre performed at the Streets Festival in Kingston early Sunday morning. He was joined by a stellar lineup of guest performers, including Popcorn, Taras Riley, Jashi, Chronicler, Lila Ike, Malidan, and Ten Tick. The patrons who arrived early and waited more than 7 hours to see Massacre were not disappointed. He delivered a high-energy performance with hit after hit from his musical catalog. The crowd sang along word for word, and the atmosphere was electric. The event was a celebration of dancehall culture, and the selectors entertained patrons with the latest songs before the headliner hit the stage. Boom Boom set was particularly memorable, with one man volunteering to be repeatedly hit in the head by 2 other men. After the theatrics, Massacre took the stage and gave the crowd a performance they will never forget. The show ended just over an hour later, with patrons leaving the venue satisfied and giving Massacre a 10 out of 10 rating.
That's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on social media at PBCJamaica. And remember, we are the People's Station.